Let's be honest here, video game intros were amazing. As I think back on my favorite gaming intros, I'm immediately brought to the golden era of gaming. Yes, I'm talking about the 6th generation of consoles, which included systems like the Xbox, the PlayStation 2, and the GameCube. Most of the games on these systems were absolute bangers, from the complex stories to the exciting gameplay, but there was also something else that always stood out to me, and that's the amazing intros. These intros were absolute bangers. Now, if you've never seen a gaming intro before, think of it like an anime opening, which is a short video with music that usually gets you excited for an anime. Now, we would take that concept and apply it to video games. And in my experience, watching the intros used to get me absolutely hyped to play the games. And one of those intros is definitely Sonic Heroes. Like, just look at it. In the opening, you're introduced to Team Sonic as well as the other 3 teams. And while each team springs into action, we also get some cool action shots and some good shots of the big threats in the game. If you like Sonic and this intro didn't get you hyped, then honestly, you're just a hater. This intro was a banger. And honestly, that's how most trailers were. They set the tone early of how the games were going to be. Take Silent Hill for an example. Normally, I hate playing horror games. I'm just not about that life. But watching the intro to this game literally makes me want to pick up a controller and try to find James's wife. Now, I say that until I'm dealing with Pyramid Head, but you get the point. From this intro, the vibes are there. You get shots of weird characters, creepy parts of the town, and a fire guitar riff in the background, basically letting you know that you're in for an adventure. What more could you really ask for? And you know how a moment ago I mentioned that intros were like anime openings? Well, the intros for anime games were nothing short of perfection. Well, let me get more specific. Dragon Ball Z's intros were perfection. While some anime games would just reuse clips from the show in their intros, Dragon Ball Z cooked their intros from the ground up. And every single time a DBZ game dropped, the intro was an absolute banger. From the Budokai series to the Tenkaichi series, each intro absolutely slapped. My favorite intro from the Budokai series came from Budokai 3. Every time I cut the game on, I had to let that intro play. And for Tenkaichi, it's a toss-up between 1 and 2. But if we're talking my favorite Dragon Ball Z intro of all time, then it has to go to This intro was nothing short of spectacular. It's a shame that the game wasn't well received because the intro deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, unlike most games, Dragon Ball Z hasn't stopped making intros, but after a while, they weren't as good as they used to be. That is until recently. Games like Kakarot and Sparking Zero has brought back the fun in intros. And while I have no complaints about Kakarot, the main problem that I have with Sparking Zero's intros is that you only get to experience it once. Like, why would you show me something that's so amazing and I can only see it one time?
How the f would you show me something if I couldn't have it?
And I understand that you can replay it in a media gallery, but that defeats the purpose. I want to get that hype burst of energy watching the top characters go at it that carries me over to my matches, like how it did in the past. Watching Goku go toe-to-toe with Broly or Frieza would instantly get my adrenaline pumping, carrying over to my story mode experience or if I was playing against friends. Those intros were hype, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. And while I'm on the topic of fighting games, you know I gotta mention some of the best fighting games. Games like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat had some really solid intros. But if there was an intro that always got me hyped, it had to be Tekken 5. This intro slaps. It's the perfect opening to get you hyped for a fight. The fight in the first half leading into the character intros and battles in the second half made me immediately want to pick up a controller and try out every character that was on the roster. And the same could be said for most fighting games. Take Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for an example. If Dante and Deadpool's gunfight didn't get you hyped in the intro of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, then I really don't know what to say. Even the intros from SmackDown vs. Raw used to get me hyped to play wrestling games. I guess what I'm trying to say is that for a while you couldn't find a game that didn't have an intro in it. They were everywhere, but now they are extremely hard to find. I legit almost cried watching the intro to the video game Judgment, which by the way was an amazing game. But yeah, that intro got me. I got hit by the rush of emotions and nostalgia of how good intros were and could be. I'm saying all this to say, please bring the intros back to video games. But that's all I got for this video. If you made it to the end of this video, drop your top 3 video game intros in the comments. And with that being said, I'm Shanadachi and I'm out.